Hi guys, this is Mitch from Square One. This is Jackson. Today we're going to take you through a really good power workout. It's going to consist of 3 sets of 3 exercises, and we'll work through them in around about 10-minute blocks. Alright. This is a great session for anyone who's a field athlete, or anyone who wants to go out and complete some running, or even if you're just looking to do a harder session in general. This is one of the ones that you should definitely do. What we're going to start with today is Jackson doing a little warm-up in a moment. We're going to try and open up through the hips. There's a lot of our movements we'll be using the mobility through our hips to create power. Important to know that if you have any ailments or injuries that you're aware of, just to take some precautions throughout the session. I'll give a lot of alternate exercises or positionings for you to use, so please use them at your discretion. Perfect. Right, Jackson, let's get started. We're going to jump down into our first stretch in a lunge position. So just a nice easy lunge position. You'll see here that Jackson starts with a nice tall body. He has his foot nice and forward. He doesn't have it too far back underneath his hips. And what we're going to do is just going to start to move forward just to create a nice stretch down through his back hip flexor of his left leg. The important thing that you'll see here from Jackson is that he keeps some nice control through his lower back. As he moves forward to create that stretch, he doesn't go into an arch posture. Okay, and that's really important for all our athletic movements that we're going to do in our power session today, is the ability to be able to hold that lower back position or that trunk posture while we move through some of our other segments in our body. So he's just going to move through a nice little set of 10, just going forwards and backwards there. Once he's done 10, we're just going to take it to another element, which is just going to add in a few ups and downs, which will just start to make his back hip flexor work harder while it's on the stretch. Right, done 10 there? Yep. Right, so you can see here now Jackson's just going to come up and then just control himself back down. He's going to make these movements nice and controlled. He's looking to come an inch or 2 off the ground. He's still maintaining his very strong posture through his trunk. And he's really driving through not just the front leg, but also the back leg. You really want to load your back leg as well in this exercise to make sure you get a nice big stretch in that left leg. How many have you done there, Jackson? 6. He's done 6, so he's got 4 to go. And how's that feeling?
You're getting good stretch through here.
Good, perfect. And that's the main thing. You really want to make sure you have that nice big stretch through that back leg there. Good way just to start to get that body moving before the session. Alright, we're going to swap over and we're going to do the other side. Same setup. So you can see once again he's got that left foot in a really good position underneath his front knee. And he's keeping his trunk nice and strong. Lower back again in a very good position. And he's just going to be pulsing in and out of that stretch. Really nice. And by doing that, all he's doing is creating a nice stretch on those muscles through the front of the hip, his psoas and a little bit of his rec fem as well. That's really good. Really nice and simple, but a really good way to just start working on that lumbo-pelvic control as well, so we can kind of get a few things out of a nice, simple stretch. Perfect. So working to that 10. Then you'll jump up into that second part. Alright. So once again, something I didn't mention on the other side, but very important, is Jackson is keeping his knee behind his hip. So he's in that hip extension position, which makes sure our hip flexor is on stretch. Really important for all those athletes out there. This hip extension position is where we create a lot of our power. Okay, so what we use when we're doing a lot of our sprinting or our linear running. Perfect, keep working through that final set of 10. Alright, so he's finished off those ones for me. We're going to now work into our active hamstring stretch. He's going to flip over and land on his back for me. He's going to grab one of his legs and put both of his hands interlocked behind his thigh. Now Jackson's got fairly good flexibility, so you can see he has his knee above his hip. If your flexibility isn't as good, feel free to bring that knee even further back. So showing on Jackson, he would just let that relax just a little bit further away from him so that he doesn't have as much tension. And if you feel like you've got a really flexible hamstring, you can do the opposite. You can actually hug your knee even more, okay, and just bring it in a bit tighter. All we're doing here is just creating a little bit of load through that hamstring, just starting to warm it up and get it ready for some of the high level activity that we're about to put through it. Just doing 10 there for me. How's that feeling? Perfect. Nice and simple exercise. Perfect. Swapping over there for me. With all of these, you can still work on keeping that trunk posture really nice and strong. Every time that you let that hamstring go into stretch, you want to make sure that your lower back doesn't round. And just breathing as well, just keeping it nice and controlled through. Really good job. I'm going to use the hamstrings a lot today, so really important that we get them nice and ready and warm. Perfect. And there's that. 10. Fantastic. All right, we're going to now move around to our pigeon. This is a nice stretch for our glutes. So you can see here what Jackson's going to do very well is he lengthened his back leg there, and he dropped forward onto his front leg. With his ankle of his front leg just around his hip, so he has it nice and tucked in. You'll find having this position will get a lot more of a glute stretch or a muscle-based stretch inside of his left hip here. And so he's really looking to make sure that his hips stay nice and level and he gets some nice load through those hips there. Alright, really good job. How's that feeling? Perfect. Really good that we open up the hips. A lot of our movements really do require some good rotation through the hips, so we're trying to get some of that mobility before we start our session. Alright, we'll just bring that ankle up slightly for me and just take it into more of an externally rotated pigeon. So you can see what Jackson did there was he just shifted up that ankle, so his leg became into a more rotated position. That actually now starts to take that stretch a bit deeper and actually starts to stretch some of the deeper tissue within our hip, like our capsule. Perfect, good job. Alright, let's change on over to the other side. So just hold there for about 30 seconds. We don't want to have too long of a sustained stretch for that one, but we're just starting to get those hips ready for what they're about to do. That's one of the main important things about this power session. It's all about getting that power from the hips while we maintain a really strong and stable base from our trunk. Once again, noticing how long he is through here. It's important that you try and lengthen through that back leg, so try and push it to the back of the room there. Keeps that right foot nice and tucked in for the nice muscle stretch in his hip. That's really good. Perfect. Swapping over. The whole time here as well, Jackson's been really good at keeping his lower back in a great position. He hasn't allowed it to go into too much of a flexed posture. He's really trying to hinge through his hips as much as possible. It's a really important aspect of this stretch. Good job. Alright. Moving to our final one, which is the frog. So if you want to face this way for me, you're going to put your knees as wide as you can on that mat. Perfect. And then you go down to your forearms. And you're going to bring your ankles in line with your knees. You just bring them slightly out. That's perfect. Good job. This is a great stretch for our inner thighs, opening up those adductors. And what we're going to use it for is not just a stretch, but we're going to start doing some nice rocks back and forward. So Jackson's going to use this as a bit of a lumbo-pelvic control drill at the same time. He's just going to learn how to rock back, feel that tension come on through his adductors and through his hips, and not let that change his lower back postural position. That's really good. How's that feel? It's tight. Yeah, it's tight. No, it really is. It's quite an intense stretch, this one, but very important. The adductors are a very vital muscle group when it comes to our power work. Good job. Just to finish those off, just holding that stretch on there. All we're going to do is just pick up our right ankle off the ground and place, and pick up our left one on the ground and place, and just keep alternating from right to left. This is a great position just to challenge some of that internal rotation in the hips, and this just really ticks off all those muscle groups and all those joint movements around the hips that we're trying to warm into for the session. Awesome. So just working for a nice set of 10 there. That feels alright. Alright. Slowly moving out of that one. Some people like to fall forward and just slowly work themselves out of that stretch. So that's our stretching routine. If you have any stretches that your physio has given to you or any other ones you like to do, now's the time to pause and work through them. And then we're about to get cracking into our power workout. Alright guys, so let's get started with our first tricep or 3 exercises in our power program. So the point and how these have been constructed is the first one is a compound movement. The second one is more of an accessory movement, which just means we're going to be using a singular muscle more than a whole group or a movement. And the final one is going to be more of a plyometric based movement, so helping you with your jumping based exercises or things like your sprinting and your fast movements. Alright, so what we're going to do is start with Jackson doing a Bulgarian. Bulgarian is a type of split squat. It's a single leg exercise. We're going to use a band today. If you don't have something like a band or some of the equipment that we use today, we are selling them at Square One and we can ship them out to you, so don't be afraid to get a hold of us and we can work that out. Alright, so Jackson, here's the band for you. Jackson's going to get into a nice hold position. He's going to step on that band with his front leg. He's going to pull up and get some adjustment. He's going to hold that more with his hand, so he's actually going to hold it. He's not going to rest it on his shoulder, and he's going to keep that elbow underneath his wrist there. I'm going to get Jackson just to take his knee down to the ground and just rest on the ground for a second. What I want you to look for when you're doing this at home to know that you've got the right bench here, I'm just going to move this forward, is that Jackson should be able to wiggle his foot slightly. Okay, so if you're using something at home, you're trying to find the right height for this, something that you can sit in this setup position and wiggle your leg. The second part here, as you can see, Jackson's got a perfectly vertical shin. That's really good because that's going to make sure he uses his big power drivers such as his glutes in this exercise. Alright, so we're going to start with a set of 6 on each side. We're going to get Jackson to get that nice strong position with his strong low back position in his core, and we're going to get him to drive out of his front foot. Good. We're going to get him to go down nice and slowly, and we're going to get him to drive again. 2, good. He's going to work for 6. 3, good. That's 4, good. Really good control by him. Slow down, and he's switching on, and he's driving up through that band. Good job. And perfect. Swapping over to the other side. Really important is with these exercises that you get your setup correct. Take your time, find the right equipment, and get yourself in the right spot to succeed with the exercise. And that's what Jackson's doing here. Once again, it's going to be slightly iffy, but he's going to have that foot on the edge. He's going to have the ability to wiggle that foot. This is probably right at the extreme edge of the height of box for Jackson, so he's working extra hard for us today. And then he's going to drive through that front leg. 1, good, drive. 2, good. So the most important part of this exercise is when Jackson gets to the bottom and he has to switch on and he has to recruit all those muscles in his hips and drive up. Alright? Really good. Is that 5?
Balance.
That's alright. Perfect. Alright, so that's the first set of 6. We're going to get Jackson now to work into some hip bridges. So I'm just going to move this over. Jackson's going to lay on his back on the mat. Good. Now we're going to do what's called a long lever bridge here. This is more to work on the hammies. We know the hammies are super important with all our power work, especially in our sprinters. We're going to bring that up here. He's going to have his knee bent just slightly, so if he just wants to shuffle a bit this way for me, please. Good. Once he finds that knee bend in the exercise, we want him to keep that position and drive up through the hips. Now, we're going to be really neat here. We're going to make Jackson do a single leg. I will be talking about some alternatives, which is pretty much just going to be keeping both legs on there and doing the same exercise. Okay, we've only got 6 reps here, so we want Jackson to really work fast, control down. If he needs to have a rep between a rest between each repetition, that's okay. Right, let's power up. Good, and control down. Now, really important here, Jackson's actually hinging through his hips. Let's try not to move through our lumbar spine when we do this movement or do some pelvic tilting. We just want to drive straight up through those hips. Good. And really driving that left heel down into the ground. Really strong, powerful movement. Perfect. Just come over and touch. There we go. All right, that was really good. Once again, you can see his other leg. It's set up in a tabletop position or a 90-90 position. So his knees above his hip and his ankle is at 90 degrees. All right. Good. 3. Really drive up there for me. 4. Good. Last 2. Good. Last 1. Perfect. Jackson's making that look easy, but it definitely is a burden for those hamstrings, and you'll really feel that. So as I said before, if you're not feeling comfortable with that single leg, go back to that double leg and really nail it. Get that nice velocity and speed coming up with the exercise. Right, we're going to finish off this little tricep with doing some pogo jumps. The pogo jump is a very early plyometric exercise that every athlete or every runner really should be able to absolutely nail. So we're going to work on that today. So Jackson's going to do a set of 20 for me. When he does it, the key thing that I'm looking for this exercise, guys, is that you're really pushing through your ankle joints. So each time you jump, I really want to hear that slap and that noise. All right, off we go with 20 for me, Jackson. Good, look at that loud noise. Keep driving through. 9, 10, 10 to go. Good, look at the rest of his body posture. So good, really strong. Perfect, that was fantastic. So what you can see there is that he really got all his power from the ankle joint itself and those plantar flexors or the calf muscles. He didn't bend a lot through his knees or really use his hips. And that's fantastic and a really good athletic movement to work on. All right, now feel free to have quite a bit of rest. We know with our power workouts, it's about quality. You want each repetition to be high velocity. We do get quite fatigued when we do this kind of work, so it's important that you have a drink of water, reset yourself, and each time you start each set, you're feeling quite fresh to keep that quality very high. All right? All right, now we're going to move back into our second set now, so we're going to do our Bulgarians again. And move back from there. Good. Awesome. So this time I'm going to give Jackson another little focus. Now if you found that really hard with the band, or if you are even holding a little weight, which is another option that you can use, you can remove that and just work on keeping your body weight and getting it fast, okay? What I want Jackson to do this time is when he gets up to that top position for me to start, so come up to the top, as he goes down slow, as soon as he gets into that last little bit, I want him to turn it around and come back up. So I really want him to focus on that last little bit, is turning around and heading back up with that power. Really important aspect of our power work is the ability to actually turn around from the lengthening contraction into that shortening contraction. Well done, good job, you're perfect. So as I said, go down to body weight and really work on that power. Your legs will feel it. When you start to add that intensity, that's when you do start to get that burn or that fatigue through your legs. So slow down, he's going to turn around and head back up real fast. So he gets that little bit of rest and control, and he turns around and he heads back up. Good. Power through. Good. Perfect. Last one, slow, turn around, power back up. Well done. Good job. Once again, make it look easy. Come up with some more solutions to make Jackson struggle.
I'm struggling.
All right, let's actually just bring the mat slightly over this way. Right, awesome. As I said before, working for double leg if you're finding single leg hard. If you're finding single leg easy, just stick with that for now though, and just work on the speed of the movement. Okay? Good. So Jackson can do the same philosophy here. He can work back down slowly. As soon as his glutes touch the mat, I want him to just drive back up. Good. Just a few little repeat efforts. Well done, swapping over. So when he's doing that, he's really digging in that heel and driving that heel. We know it's going to get his hamstrings quite excited into the exercise and make them work really hard. We also know the way he's got his knee bent, it's almost straight. The hamstrings will definitely take more control of this exercise than his glute muscles as well. Good job. All right. Let's work through. He's almost through that first tricep. Let's finish off with these pogos. Jackson did it perfectly before. If it's a movement you're finding hard to do, I'll get you just to watch Jackson do it and really pay close attention so that you can work on this movement yourself. Okay, good. See how you get some really good height? You can see that slapping on his feet and and he lifts his ankles and he generates that power. He doesn't wait for the ankles to get to the ground. He actually meets the ground and creates that power himself. Have a rest, mate. Have another drink. As I said, important, keep hydrating. These exercises, although you're not doing many reps and there's only been 6 sets so far, this is really hard work. So take those extra rests, keep the quality up, keep working hard. All right. Just set up again for Jackson when he has another breather. Good job. He's doing really, really well here. All these exercises will be hitting very similar muscle groups. You've got your Bulgarian at first, which is going to work through those glutes and hamstrings quite a lot. And now I'm making him try and work through those hamstrings in the bridge as well. And now I'm trying to make him produce power with that whole chain at the end. So it's a really tough thing to be doing. All right, same thing, I want you to turn around that power for me. Alright, so we're going to control down and then we're going to turn around. We're going to have that intent where we're going to try and turn around our force or our power as quickly as possible. And that's what really good athletes do, is they turn that power around really well. Turn around, good. Perfect, good job. Great job, swap it over. Last round of Bulgarians, I promise. Keep working hard. Get that set up right. Make sure in a good solid position. Power work's all about practicing high quality exercise. Every rep you do, you want to feel like you've absolutely smashed it. Good job. That's 6. Well done. We can burn that down if you mate. We'll come back to that one. Well done. Good job everybody out there doing some Bulgarians. Hard stuff. Let's work into our last set. Our single leg bridges. We'll work on the same things as we talked about in that second set. That's about controlling down as soon as our hips get to that mat. Let's work up fast. Yeah? Really important position for all of our athletes who run. We're working those hamstrings in that end range position, and that's where we know they get put under the most stress. And that's where it's important to train them and get them strong. Good, drive up. Alright, let's get fast. Let's get real speed, especially when we're tired. Because when we need to get that speed, when you're fatigued. Good, drive up first hips. Good, 3, slow, the power. 4. Doing a really good job here of keeping this other leg in that nice 90-90 position. Not once have I had to mention not to use his other leg because he hasn't. So just be mindful that you don't try and hitch up using that other leg. Alright mate, here we go. We've only got 20 pogos to go. This is it, let's keep strong, let's make some noise, let's be loud. That's one of my favourite cues. Yeah, you need to make noise, you need to be loud, you need to see you engage with the ground. Good job. Really solid, you can see how high it's getting, really good. Right, have a drink. Well done. Alright guys, go have another drink, we'll move into our next exercises in a moment. Alright guys, hopefully you recovered from our first little tri-set or 3 exercises. They were tough. So now we're going to work into our second set. So same theme, let's keep working on our power, let's keep working on being explosive. We're going to start with doing a single leg deadlift. We're going to use a power band. You're going to put it around your neck. Yep. So Jackson's going to do a variation where he's going to pop that behind the back of his neck. He's actually going to take quite a lot of load off with his hands as well, so there's not too much strain on his neck. If this is too much for you, I'll urge you to go back to that setup that we had on the Bulgarian where we had it around our foot and holding it with our hand in that position there. Okay, so we're going to start here with that nice power focus. He's going to be controlling back and he's going to power through. Something important that Jackson's doing really well naturally here is he's keeping his right knee bent. Okay, he's encouraging weight to go into that right leg. Okay, a common fault with this exercise is that people will straighten through that right leg and then they'll start to open up through their left hip. Now Jackson's doing a great job of not even putting his left foot down. If you need to put your left foot down for support at home, please do. He's just getting some extra balance training here, but it's not the priority of this exercise. Good. Right, awesome. Swapping over. So just working 6 reps again. That's the theme of the day. Power works in that 6 rep range where we're trying to work high quality. We know it's a fatigable exercise. So we just want to keep the repetitions down and keep controlling each repetition to be high quality. Again, really good bend in that left knee. Jackson's doing a great job of reaching his leg back here. So really work at reaching back if you want. Keep that weight in that left hip and driving through with that right knee and keeping nice and strong and stable through the trunk there. Good. It makes that look easy, which is fantastic. All right, now we're going to move into just working on those glute muscles, especially our glute median, so we decide the hip a little bit more with a more targeted exercise. We're going to do a side plank. It's going to have a dip in it and also a leg raise as well. So we'll get Jackson just to start here. So he's going to lift up and throw his leg up into the air. He's going to try and separate that movement a little bit more for me, please, Jackson. So he's going to come up and then lift. That's 3. Good. You can still get that nice power aspect of trying to move fast. Still going to get the power aspect in there. Good. Fantastic. That's the 6th one right there. Really important, he tries to keep his leg in that nice lateral line. He doesn't let his foot come too forward and use a lot of the structures in the front of his hip. He really uses those structures in the side of his hip to keep his leg in that nice lateral plane. Good job. He's really using that dip to work through his other glute as well and some of his obliques. We know that we want to have our trunk nice and strong as well. Jackson's finding this one challenging, but he's still doing a very good job to keep himself in that nice setup position. Good job. All right, really good job. So Jackson there, what he did really well was at the start of that exercise, he set up his shoulder in line with his hip, in line with his knee and his ankle. So really make sure you start and get that lateral line in the right position before you go ahead with doing the exercise. Okay, we're going to get Jackson now to go into his counter movement jump. He's going to have his hands on his hips to make sure it's coming mainly from his legs. And what a counter movement jump is, it's a maximum 2-legged jump. Okay, so he's going to go down with whatever speed he chooses. Obviously with a bit of pace, he's going to get some more elasticity to help him power up towards the sky. He's going to do 6 of them for us. He doesn't have to do them back to back. He's going to do 1, reset, 1, reset. Off you go. Really good. Perfect. And he's really working on turning around that energy. So Jackson's actually doing a great job of going down nice and fast, turning around that energy and heading back up. Good, last one. Good job. Really, really good work. All right, so there we're focusing a lot on using our glutes in a lot of those exercises. And we want to continue to work on a lot of our lateral stabilizers, as they're very important for our athletic movements. Right, have a drink, get yourself set up for the second set. In the second set, we'll go through a few more little variations that you might need if those exercises are a little bit more challenging. Really important when we think about power work is our ability to be able to stabilize through our trunk and through our hips, so that our legs and our arms can do the task at hand, whichever sport that may be. So we're going to head back into our band of work here. Now Jackson did this very well. If you're finding this hard, I'm going to get you to find some sort of support like I have over here, and all you're going to do is have that support on the opposite side to the leg that you're working, and you're just going to encourage that weight to stay in that opposite hip and drive up that way for me. Okay, so that might just be a wall. If you have a wall at home, run away, pause me on the screen and go find a wall, and then continue on with using a bit more support. Just make sure you keep that power focus, controlling down and then turn it around, speed back up. 1, really good. That's 2. Jackson's doing a great job, as I said before, of maintaining balance. That's another progression. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but if you're trying to challenge yourself, it's really good to see how long you can stay on that leg while doing some dynamic movements like Jackson is. Really good, fantastic. Perfect. So as I said before, the common areas I want to look out for is just keeping the weight in a non-weight bearing hip and making sure you have that nice level lower back. You're hinging through your hips. That hinging movement is a very athletic and powerful movement. And you can see each time how Jackson's hips are pushing backwards towards the wall behind him, which is a great cue to think about if you're not sure if you're doing it properly. Really good job, he's powering up there. Perfect. Good work. And you can see Jackson obviously went to that second hold, which is another alternative for you. So you have a few little options there, just to really work on that single leg strength and power movement that we know is so important in pretty much every athlete, because we spend most of our time on that single leg. Now, what we're going to do here, Jackson, is we're going to a half one, just so that people have an idea of progression. So he's going to bend his knees. I said before, he's got a great setup, so that knee, hip, and shoulder in a nice line. He's going to straighten the top leg only. Okay, so he's going to come up in that dip position. He's going to lift up that leg, and he's going to control and then come back down. Good, so he's still getting that nice power aspect. He's powering up and then powering up. He's got two little power movements here. Powering out the dip, stabilizing, power the leg up. Really good job. And a great alternative if you're finding the full plank leg lift challenging. Okay, should be feeling this in the lateral part of the hip, through our glute muscles, our glute min and glute med muscles. Also feel a little bit through your TFL in the front of your hip too, and that's completely fine. Just bending that bottom leg for me, getting that nice support. So if you have that leg, the knee bent at 90 degrees, just gives you a little bit of extra support when you're doing it in this half plank position. Good job. And if this is challenging, think about this as something that you should add into your routine quite regularly. I always think being able to do a nice clean set of between 12 and 15 is a nice little guide for people. Just to have some really good lateral hip strength. So if you're someone who's doing quite high level athletic activities, that's something you might need to work on if you find that challenging. Yeah? Alright, let's come forward here. Let's do our last little part of this second set. Let's power up. Good. What you can see here, I took before, but Jackson's landing mechanics are very sound. He keeps those knees apart as he lands. He doesn't let those knees come in together and try and kiss. He's very good at controlling that load through all these joints. So when he lands, he goes into what's called a triple flexion position. As he comes down, he makes sure that he pushes his hips back, he bends through the knees, and then his ankles will naturally, of course, go into a dorsiflex position as well. What that does allows his load to go into those three different joint segments and to absorb it, a bit like an accordion, which makes that a really, really good way and safe way for us to land. Okay. How you feeling, mate?
I'm getting there.
Yep. Everyone can drink some water. This is our last set of our second grouping of exercises. I did warn you power work was hard, but I'm sure you're enjoying it. Something different and new experience. You might fall in love with being a new power athlete. All right, we'll finish off with using a kettlebell for Jackson. You can keep going with your banded activity if that's what you're doing, but we're just going to show you the final alternative, and that's that I want him to hold the kettlebell in the opposite hand to the leg that's working. Okay, so that's just going to challenge his lateral stabilizers even more. Now we're only doing this because Jackson was doing such a good job with these other exercises. It's important as a power athlete to keep challenging his body to adapt to his environment. And that's a key thing that we're doing with all these external sources, such as bands, kettlebells, these sliders, all those kind of things. Once again, Jackson's left me speechless. He's doing it very well. Just keep thinking about those hips being nice and strong and stable. He's got his trunk muscles working nice and hard, and he's supporting his whole movement by making sure that his hinge is working. I think that's the key thing that Jackson's doing really well here. He's hinging really, really well. Something else that you can take note of is Jackson also having a nice retracted scapula there. That keeps his upper back in a strong posture and allows his some more support for his lower back to stay in that nice arch position or that neutral spine. All right, mate, good. Keep working through. I think these are definitely not your favourite one, but you're doing a really good job. You can do the half again if you want, that's fine. And bring this leg out here. So you can see the exercise is hard. Jackson's very strong, very athletic, and he's even choosing the half. So don't be afraid to, throughout the whole session, choose the regressed exercise. I can't stress enough that sometimes choosing the regressed one will get you further in the future. Good job, mate. So he's still working really hard to drive through this knee. It's really important that you're very active through this shoulder as well. So he's driving through his right elbow and he's creating stability by driving through his upper body as well. He's not just relying on his hips to do the whole movement. He's starting to bring his whole body into working towards achieving the goal. Really good. Fantastic. And he's actually getting better as every set goes by, which is good. Keep driving up through that left knee. Drive that left elbow into the ground. Lifting that leg up nice and high. Good job. Alright, so we're still sticking in those 6 rep range. This is it. Let's finish off the second set of 3 exercises with 6 really good jumps. I'm going to give you all the goal of focusing on our landings in this one. So let's really focus on really accepting that load as we land. You can see how Jackson lands in a very strong position in his bottom position. I'll get him to hold the next bottom position. He gets into that really strong posture in that body position. He doesn't let his trunk fall forward when he comes. He decelerates and stops in a really athletic posture. Good job. You got one more, maybe?
One more.
Last one. Good job. Well done. Good. Really important, just while Jackson starts to think about having another drink before we get to our last tricep. Really important for all the field athletes out there to be doing workouts such as this. They're talking it's only a few more weeks until we might be back out on the fields or training. And things like our tendons and our soft tissue, they crave load. So it's important that you get into a session such as this where we're doing some high level activity so that when we get back to those field sessions, we're not having as much of a gap between what we need to do and what we were doing. So we're going to take into our final little tricep of 3 exercises. We're going to focus a lot on some lateral movements in this one and getting our adductors to work, but also going to get some of our hip flexor strength in there and our trunk strength in there too. We're going to start with doing an adductor lunge. I'll talk you through it as we go, but you're pretty much going to get a nice big step out to your right to start. Jackson's going to get going here for me. He's going to do 6 on each side. The thing that I want to see from you here is not about depth or getting really low. It's about starting by absorbing that load, but once you've absorbed it, then turning around and heading back to the start and really driving through. What Jackson did really well then was he had his foot nice and straight. He didn't let it point too far out. He had a duck foot, and he's really driving back by pushing through the outside of his foot, but as well as pushing through his big toe as well. He's not just pushing through his outside of his foot, he's using his foot as a whole. Alright, let's jump down to our back. We'll need a mini band for this one. If you don't have a mini band, that's okay, just follow along as if you do. You can still do the exercise and get good effect from that. We're going to do what's called a psoas march. So you're just laying on your back, band around the tops of your feet, and then nice and fast, he's going to pull that knee up towards his chest. Something that Jackson's working on here is he's trying to engage his trunk muscles. As he pulls up, his body is going to want to naturally try and go into that flexion posture in his lower back. And he's going to use all his strength through his abdominals to make sure he maintains a good trunk position. Okay, very important for us when we're doing things like sprinting is to be able to drive that knee up into that high position without affecting our lumbar pelvic position. So it can be nice and strong and take that into our next impact. Good job, mate. Really, really good. Now we're going to work into our final one, which as the theme goes is going to be a jumping style exercise. Jackson's going to do 6 jumps in total. This one is a little bit harder to grasp, but you are going to be doing the first 2 little hops to a sub-maximal amount, so not going crazy. And then the final one, you're really going to try and go nice and big, powerful movement and stick it. Good. Oh, you stuck that one perfectly. He was falling over in practice all over the place. He's doing good now. Good job. Fantastic. So you can see here he's just building up that lateral movement. 1, 2, and he powers. And he's really staying nice and strong through his trunk. Lateral hopping is a great way to see how you're going with your trunk stability. If your hips are really supporting you through an athletic movement. And for any field athletes out there watching, this is where the money's made for a field athlete. Really important to be strong in those lateral movements. And Jackson's doing a great job at it. So he just builds up sub-maximal and then he just drives out of all of those lateral structures in his hip and flies and lands in a nice controlled landing position. take a lot of what we talked about in that second set of exercises with our landing mechanics. Jackson's doing a lot of similar things there. He's really absorbing that load with that triple flexion position that we discussed, taking a lot of load through some different areas, and he's also making sure that he's being preemptive to his landing. He knows he's going to land, so he gets that tension through his muscles like his glutes and his lateral stabilizers and his obliques, and then he lands with that control. Okay, so it's really important to know that you're going to do a task, prepare for it, and then land well. Right, mate. Let's move into our second round. That's lunge. Okay, so same again, we're really working on the ability to turn around force without power here. Yeah, so whatever sport you choose to play, you might get wrong footed in that position, you want to be able to turn that load around and head back to chasing that person down or scoring that basket. Good job, mate, really drive out for me. Now if you find this quite easy, as Jackson is in the last set, we'll challenge you a bit more, we'll start to give you some more ideas on that. If you're finding it really challenging to get this movement, just slow it down and actually make it a really slow and controlled movement, and then we can start to add the power in another time. Good job, mate. Laying on your back with that band for me. Alright, once again, we're going to go into that march position, really getting those hip flexors nice and strong. We know they work in our power work by driving our knee through, so they create a lot of power. But they also work as a really good stabilizer for our lower back, especially that deeper hip flexor, that psoas goes through, attaches to our lumbar spine, and really helps with us having that nice support in a lot of our trunk-based activities. Good job, mate. Just keep driving that knee up. Jackson's doing a really good job here. I said before, he's keeping his trunk nice and strong. He's driving his knee up as high as he can using all of his available hip range. He's not then moving into his lumbar spine range, so that's really good. Everyone can bring their knee all the way into their chest, but we start to round through our lower back. So as he drives up, he only goes as far as he can while keeping that strong position there. So, everybody. Alright, so we're going to go back to doing hopping. He's going to start with his sub-maximal hops again. He's going to finish with that nice stiff landing. It's okay if you don't stick every landing. It's about having the perfection or the perfect end result in mind, and just working on those little details. Okay, so Jackson's doing a great job at making sure he doesn't fall too far. As I said before, that mostly comes down to being aware that he's about to land and absorbing his landing and controlling his weight. Good job, mate. Doing a really good job. Anyone out there, you're probably thinking, how's Jackson making this look so easy? He's doing a great job. Just keep on driving through, really hard work, but just get yourself in a good strong position to drive out that outside leg. Alright. Another really important thing when you're doing those jumps is about thinking about where your center of mass is, or weight shifting over the top of the leg. So you can see as Jackson was landing, he was actually weight shifting his whole body over his leg. He wasn't leaving himself out to the side. He was making sure that his sternum was over his second toe, and that's really important. Weight shifting is a huge aspect of balance. So just making sure that you're bringing your trunk over your foot that you're trying to balance on top of. All right, mate. We've got our last round. We're doing really well. Let's finish off with a bang. All right. So those adductor lunges again. You've got 6. Once again, we're going to learn how to turn around that force. Or sorry, actually have a little pause there while I just show everybody the kettlebell option. So what he's going to do is he's going to hold the kettlebell the opposite hand to the one that's working. As he comes across, he's just going to let that swing underneath the foot. Okay? And that's just going to add a bit of a pendulum load. It's just going to load up his adductor even more. And it's going to really get him to have to turn that load around with his adductor and then drive out of his glutes. Good job, mate. Perfect. Jackson's just using a 6 there. I say you start with a nice light weight. Don't need to go too heavy at the beginning, but then at your own discretion, just start to think about making sure that exercise is challenging you, and load is a great way to challenge our ability to produce force and be powerful. Good job, mate. Really good. I'll take that off you. I'll stop you for man. The skills are a deal. All right, 2 to go, people. Doing really well. We're going to finish off with some really good psoas marches here. Jackson's going to show everyone out there the harder version for those of you that are thinking it's a bit too easy. We're going to go up into a supine bridge. So he's going to have a little bend in his knees, just about 5 degrees, not much. He's going to lift himself up so he's just on his heels and his shoulders. He's going to support himself in that upper bridge position, and he's going to maintain that throughout the exercise while he does his knee drive. Okay, this is a really great variation. If you're a higher level athlete having a bit of a go at this session online, this is the kind of stuff you want to be working towards. He's really working his right hip flexor here in synergy with his left hamstring. And that's really how we work when we start to do some of our high level tasks. So our muscles start to coordinate together, and so we start to build those movement patterns that we want to see come together on the field. He's doing a great job here. Once again, the same things. He needs to keep that rigidity through his trunk muscles and stay nice and strong as he's driving up that leg. And that was an extremely hard exercise, and Jacko made it look very easy, so that's good. I'll have a bit of a go at that one. Let's finish with just doing our lateral hopping again. Another regression for this one would just be shortening how far you're jumping, and instead of doing a maximal hop on the last one, just do a hop as far as you can, maintain a really good landing. Okay? So Jacko can probably still do his maximals because he was sticking them. Fantastic job, really good. He's got great lateral hip stability, and his obliques are really good at making sure his trunk stays nice and upright when he lands. Jacko is also really good at absorbing that load into that triple flexion position that we've discussed previously. Good. And by making those jumps smaller, we can really start to work on those finer details of our hopping and our landing mechanics. Good job, Jacko. Really good. Something I do, if you want to make it harder, Jacko just has to stick each one for at least 3 seconds afterwards. And that just gives him a little bit of feedback. It tells him how well he's actually doing. A lot of people, they'll stick it for 1 or 2 seconds. When their momentum goes, they'll move into the next one. So you can just really give yourself a bit of a litmus test on those ones. Good job there, mate. Doing fantastic. Good, John. Good stuff, mate. Very good. Well done, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the session. I look forward to catching up with you for some more power sessions or some more sessions soon.